I'm Kim Anderson. On July 13th, I took our children and one of their friends down to the Pichuck River to play. It was a beautiful day. We went for a picnic and to play in the water. And I sent the boys about 30 yards up the river so they could float down in the water and just ride on the current and enjoy it. And coming back down, Travis was stuck under a log. He got wedged under a log under the water. I went to him as fast as I could and I tried to get him out of the log. I couldn't get him out and I tried for a really long time. A man came and he sat on the log, which released the pressure of Travis's head and allowed Travis to float free from the log, and Travis floated away. And I grabbed him. I drug him up on the bank of the river, and the bank was covered with rocks and glass and sand. Travis was unresponsive. He was white with blue lips and purple circles around his eyes. I rolled Travis up onto my legs and I hit his back and I shook his head with his hair and I rolled him back onto his back where I began CPR compressions. I did about 100 compressions and I gave him a breath and I rolled him back over on my knees and I hit his back and I shook his head again and I gave him 100 more compressions. I did it about 3 times and then Travis threw up. I kept giving Travis compressions for what seemed like forever. He turned more gray, his lips got bluer, and the circles around his eyes got bigger. He didn't look like he was getting any better. I gave CPR for about 11 minutes until the first officer arrived on the scene. When the officer arrived, we took turns giving CPR until the EMS arrived. And when they arrived, they put the paddles on Travis and they began doing manual respiration for him. In about a minute or two, they discovered that Travis did have a heartbeat. He had a heartbeat on his own. He was airlifted to Seattle Children's Hospital and placed in ICU. The doctors and the specialists there told us over and over that although he was covered with bruises and he looked terrible from the CPR and from being stuck in the log, that it was the fact that I did CPR so quickly and so ferociously without stopping until the EMS arrived and they could get him to the hospital, is that what gave Travis a fighting chance. It took about 3.5 weeks before Travis walked away from the hospital. Today he's a normal 9-year-old boy. He's 100% recovered with no signs at all of having gone through that experience. When I learned CPR, I never thought I would have to use it on one of my own children. And people say to me that they don't think they could do what I did, but I did. Because I used CPR on Travis, he's alive today. Please learn CPR. If you want to learn CPR, please consider attending the Steve Nations Memorial CPR event on June 1st at Advent Lutheran Church in Mill Creek. They have 4 sessions on Saturday, and all 4 of them you can either learn CPR and be certified or just learn CPR.